After an unexpected death, Lin Yi awakens in the game world of the Great Jianghu. Before he has even reached his prime, he finds himself cast as the game's ultimate boss, the Kunlun Sect Leader. In this second life, he becomes Chu Xiu, the second son of the Chu family, always regarded by others as a useless waste. In order to seize wealth, power, and most importantly to keep himself alive, he does not hesitate to snap the neck of the beautiful girl beside him, collaborating with bandits to rob the goods of his own clan, even plotting to assassinate his own younger brother. Will Chu Xiu continue to follow the fate of becoming the villainous final boss, or will he create a brand new legend? A hazy space filled with the heavy sound of ragged breathing. Chu Xiu gulped down air like a man clawing his way back from death itself, sweat streaming down his pale face twisted in fear. Clutching his head as pain surged through him, he cried out in panic, "Just who is trying to kill me?" Once again he scanned the strange surroundings, still dazed. And where on earth am I? The scene rewinds 10 minutes earlier, to a lavish wine banquet filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and endless cheers. At the center of it all was Lin Yi, a rich young master basking in the admiration of his companions. "Young Master Lin, we heard you've been obsessed with the game The Great Jianghu lately?" Surrounded by charming beauties, Lin Yi laughed proudly. "You know me, I've loved martial arts since I was a child." Lifting his wine glass, he spoke with excitement. "It's rare to encounter such a grand and immersive martial arts game. It's absolutely worth playing. Unfortunately, the updates are painfully slow. I've already cleared every storyline available so far." His friends burst out in astonishment. Holy crap, as expected of young Master Lin, clearing the second edition storyline must mean you've logged over 1,000 hours. A powerhouse of the spirit realm, how terrifying. But don't worry, young Master Lin, the official announcement says the third edition arrives next month, and they'll release a holographic gaming helmet too. Rumor says this helmet isn't even technology from our era. It lets players enter an entirely different virtual world. Right now the pre-order qualification alone is selling for over 20 million. 20 million? That's half a year's allowance for me. Looks like we won't get to try it anytime soon. Hearing their complaints about the price equaling half a year's allowance, the young master of the Lin family confidently snapped his fingers. Instantly, a maid stepped forward carrying a tray with the rare item. The holographic gaming helmet everyone talks about, is this the one? His friends froze in disbelief, unable to believe that the unreleased device was already resting in Lin Ye's hands. The group stared with envy. As expected of the Lin family, the richest in the south, the resources you command are beyond what small families like ours could ever imagine. I'm so jealous. If I could be born into the Lin family in my next life, I'd never worry about anything again. Lin Yi took a casual sip of wine and replied with a faint smile, "You're only half right about that. My older brothers are buried in family affairs day and night. When would they ever have the time to enjoy life?" As an illegitimate son, Lin Yi understood he had no place in the struggle for power, so he deliberately lived as a carefree playboy to avoid conflict. Enough talk, let's log into the game. He eagerly prepared to wear the helmet and show off the martial arts skill he had just learned. Slowly, he lowered the holographic helmet onto his head, ready to enter the game's virtual world. Suddenly, a chilling voice whispered beside his ear, "Dear little brother, your existence is still a threat after all. I hope you enjoy a happy time in the other world." Outside, his friends had no idea what was happening. Instead, they admired the cool light effects as blue electricity crackled wildly across the helmet. Boom! A violent explosion erupted, making everyone nearby scream in terror at the horrifying sight. Returning to the present, Lin Yi found himself in a completely different body, groaning in pain. If I'm not mistaken, I just got transmigrated. Damn it, I clearly acted so harmless, such a loser. Why did my brother still want to kill me? Was I wrong from the beginning when I chose not to fight for power? Crimson streams of light flickered within Chu Xiu's eyes as unfamiliar memories flooded into his mind. They belonged to a child whose mother died during childbirth, a pitiful illegitimate son abandoned from the moment he was born. In this life, my name is Chu Xiu. I am the illegitimate son of the Chu family in Tongzhou Prefecture, Wei County, within the state of Yan. I am the second of the Chu family's 4 sons, but my mother was merely an ordinary concubine who died giving birth to me. Because of that, I have always been ignored in this household. The former owner of this body was weak and impulsive. Early on he sided with the eldest brother, Chu Xiu, in the fight for family headship. Because of that he offended the third brother, another contender for the position. Eventually he was framed and punished by being sent away as a manager at the Chu family's mining area in the southern mountains of Wei County. He was originally meant to stay in the southern mountain mines for 3 full years, but recently the Chu family began selecting an heir. Even though he was an illegitimate son who had made mistakes, he still had the right to participate, so he was summoned back earlier than expected. At this moment, he was already on the road back to the Chu manor. He picked up the sword and softly repeated his name again and again. Chu Xiu, Chu Xiu. Staring at his reflection upon the cold blade, the name strangely felt familiar. Suddenly a realization flashed through his mind, freezing him in place. Wait, I think I know who I am. In the upcoming update of the Great Jianghu, the most important figure is the ultimate villainous boss, Demon Lord Chu Xiu. The Demon Lord Chu Xiu was born into the Chu family of Tongzhou Prefecture, Wei County, State of Yan. After a family upheaval he endured countless hardships, causing his personality to change drastically and ultimately driving him down the path of the demon. By the end of the story introduction, the Demon Lord Chu Xiu rebuilds the Kunlun demon sect, once glorious 1,000 years ago. Commanding the 4 great demon venerables, he overwhelms the martial world with terrifying demonic flames. Chu Xiu let out a bitter laugh, unsure whether to cry or laugh after realizing he had transmigrated into the very final boss destined to fall. Touching the blade, he wondered whether he was fated to become a legend, and whether the ending of that legend must already be written. After all, aren't final bosses in games always created to be defeated? Am I destined to fail? He gazed deeply at the sword in his hand. A ruthless smile slowly formed on Chu Xiu's lips as he thought, if heaven has granted me another chance, then I'd rather kill than be killed. At that moment, the beautiful maid Yue lifted the carriage curtain and asked anxiously, Young master, did something happen? Chu Xiu searched through the original owner's memories about Yue. In truth, she had been planted here by the biological mother of the third brother to spy on him. Ridiculously, he once believed she was assigned by the family and had treated her with great favor. In reality, while Chu Xiu had been exiled to the southern mountain mines, Yue used his name to cause trouble and destroy his reputation. She even secretly incited the miners to riot, attempting to push him toward death. Chu Xiu revealed a sinister smile, gripping his sword as he calmly replied, It's nothing, I just dropped my blade. Seeing that smile, Yue felt chills run down her spine. Thinking Chu Xiu looked terrifying today, she forced herself to remain calm and said, Young master, the main road has been flooded by heavy rain recently and is difficult to pass. How about we take the shortcut through Yuan town to save time? He glanced at her, fully aware that the shortcut through the wilderness of Mount Changmong was infamous for bandits. Raising an eyebrow, he asked, A shortcut through Yuan town? Trying to persuade him, Yue began using a beauty scheme, pretending to complain. Those are only rumors. Many merchant caravans traveling to Tongzhou Prefecture use those side roads. Besides, young master, look at me. This long journey has made me sweat so much. I feel disgusting. I want to return to the manor sooner to bathe so I can serve you properly. Suddenly, Yue's expression twitched in shock. His eyes abruptly turned ice cold, revealing a sinister smile. Yue was so frightened she couldn't speak, thinking, This Chu Xiu, it's like he's become someone else, he's suddenly so terrifying. Chu Xiu pinched Yue's cheek, making her cry out, Young master, that hurts. Yet immediately afterward he changed completely, laughing cheerfully as if nothing had happened. All right then, we'll pass through Yuanbao town. He waved his hand and ordered the servants outside. As for arranging the other attendants, just let darling Yue handle it like usual. Yue trembled as she obeyed, secretly convincing herself she must have been overthinking and that Chu Xiu was still the same useless fool who could be easily manipulated. Chu Xiu smirked faintly, fully aware that Yue surely had some trap waiting in Yuanbao town, yet he still chose to go, because an enormous opportunity awaited him there. Chu Xiu's greatest advantage right now was his deep familiarity with the storyline of the first 2 versions of the game The Great Jianghu. My advantage isn't only that I'll become the future Demon Lord, but also this meta-knowledge. According to his calculations, the timeline was currently at the beginning of the first version, and more than 20 years remained before the third version's events. That meant he knew every major and minor event that would unfold across this world over the next 2 decades, and right now in Yuanao Town, a tremendous opportunity awaited him. The carriage convoy slowly rolled into the quiet town nestled among lush green mountains. After entering town, Yu curiously asked, "Young master, this Yuanao town is far less prosperous than Tongzhou Prefecture. What is there to look around for?" Chu Xiu's gaze stopped on an old roadside shop. "That's it, the secret box shop." Before them stood a shop named Tong's Secret Box Shop, appearing ordinary yet hiding extremely unusual items. To explain briefly, secret boxes are a very unique feature of the world Great Jianghu. Legend says that 100,000 years ago, a catastrophic disaster destroyed countless martial sects. Before that calamity, a master of formations created secret boxes to store treasures and supreme manuals so that sect legacies would not vanish in disasters. These boxes differ greatly in material, shape, and size. Usually the more exquisite the box, the stronger the protective formation and the more valuable the item inside. After the catastrophe, many secret boxes survived. Because the crafting method had been lost, they became like limited edition blind boxes, driving countless people in the Jianghu to hunt them down. Opening them depends entirely on luck. Sometimes you may uncover miracles, but more often the box is empty or contains useless things like scissors or wooden combs. Chu Xiu leisurely stepped into the Li family's secret box shop. Chu Xiu looked around and asked, "Shopkeeper, is yours the only shop selling secret boxes in Yuanbao town? Why is business so deserted?" The shopkeeper sighed. "Of course, even the worst of these secret boxes cost 10 taels of silver each. The people coming to Yuanbao town are poor escorts transporting goods. They don't even earn 10 taels in a trip. How many would dare gamble their luck?" The shopkeeper lifted his head, surprised by the question from the refined young master who had just entered. Clearly he hadn't expected such a noble guest. He enthusiastically introduced, "Those poor fellows can't afford them, but surely young master can. These secret boxes were all discovered in ruins within the southern barbarian mountains. The price is absolutely reasonable." Chu Xiu began examining them carefully. What he desperately needed right now was a powerful cultivation method because he was only at the body tempering realm, the lowest martial level since the original owner had never been properly taught. On the path of martial arts, one must first pass through the 3 body refining realms to enter the gate. Body tempering realm, temper muscles and bones, refine the body, muscles grow strong, strength increases greatly. And 99% of martial artists in the Jianghu remain at this stage because crude external hard skills alone can reach it. Above it lie the blood condensation realm and the pre-heaven realm, levels only true experts can attain. He needed to break through this foundation. He remembered that during this time a servant background man once bought an ordinary secret box in Yuanao town. By chance he opened a supreme technique, later founded a sect, and became a grandmaster. But these boxes looked like cheap goods. Could they really produce such fortune? Just then a man in brocade clothing rushed into the shop and slammed his hand on the table decisively. "Shopkeeper, give me 2 secret boxes." The shopkeeper looked at him and tried to advise. "Li Jing, it's not easy for you to earn money as a servant in the Li family of Tongzhou Prefecture. Take my advice, don't gamble anymore. Third young master Li appreciates you and transferred you from the kitchen to the merchant caravan. If you spend the money befriending stewards, maybe you could become one too." But Li Jing remained stubborn in his dream of rising in life. "Even if I become a steward, I'm still just a servant of the Li family. But if I open a peerless divine skill from a secret box, wouldn't I rise to prominence?" The shopkeeper sighed helplessly at his persistence. How could peerless divine skills appear so easily?" He quickly brought out 2 boxes as requested, a purple sphere and a dazzling golden box. Just as Li Jing reached out to touch them, Chu Xiu suddenly stopped him and said arrogantly, "Wait, I want to buy every secret box in this shop." Chu Xiu's eyes glimmered with calculation, just as he remembered. He is a servant of the Li family. It seems this Li Jing is the martial artist who gained a great lucky chance in Yuanbao town and later became a regional overlord. In other words, one of the boxes here must contain the strongest cultivation technique. It's very likely inside these 2. Li Jing shouted angrily at the sudden interruption. This young master, I was the one who wanted to buy them first. The air instantly became tense. Chu Xiu smirked and stared at him with overwhelming pressure. Now I say I want them all, do you have an objection? Li Jing fumed with anger. Does this young master think that I, Li Jing, am easy to bully just because I'm a servant? I belong to the Li family, one of the 3 major families of Tongzhou Prefecture. Chu Xiu sneered mockingly. Just moments ago you said you didn't want to be a servant forever, yet the moment trouble appears you immediately rely on your master's name to threaten others? He stepped closer with a contemptuous smile. A mere servant dares to use the Li family's name to pressure me? You truly have no idea who you're facing. Immediately, Chu Xiu's guards drew their swords in unison, filling the air with tension. Li Jing's face turned pale as he realized the overwhelming disadvantage. He stepped back trembling, sweat dripping as panic filled his mind. This is bad. I'm only at the body tempering realm too. How can I fight so many people? He stammered. We can talk about this. Seeing that cowardly look, Chu Xiu thought, giving up already? With this personality, no wonder in the future after becoming an overlord you became corrupt and committed endless evil deeds. But this time, you won't have that chance. Chu Xiu ignored him and ordered his servants. Take every one of these boxes away. Even the maid Yue was shocked by his decisiveness. Li Jing stared at Chu Xiu's departing figure. Along with humiliation, a strange pain surged in his chest, as if something incredibly important had just been taken away from him. After Chu Xiu's carriage convoy disappeared into the distance, Li Jing clenched his teeth and cursed. Damn it, just wait, this isn't over. Under the bright sunlight, Yuanao town looked peaceful and calm, yet beneath that quiet surface hidden forces had already begun to stir. Inside an inn, Chu Xiu sat alone. He lightly cut his finger and let droplets of blood fall onto the mysterious purple crystal box he had chosen. Suddenly a mystical violet light burst out as the buzzing sound of a formation shattering echoed. The box had been opened. Inside lay a shimmering green crystal radiating rich spiritual energy. Chu Xiu exclaimed, "This is it." He could barely suppress his excitement. This is the Taoist secret classic pre-heaven power, a 4th transformation cultivation technique. It can cultivate pre-heaven true Ji, resist 100 diseases, regulate emptiness and fullness, nourish the foundation, and make true Qi endless. No wonder Li Jing advanced so rapidly and reached the peak in the storyline. Normal cultivation techniques are divided into 9 transformations. The first transformation is the lowest and the 9th is the highest. The first 3 transformations can serve as inheritance techniques for small sects. The middle 3 transformations are treasures throughout the entire Jianghu and allow someone to establish a sect. The final 3 transformations are controlled by the great sects of the Jianghu. They are extremely rare and precious. Beyond the 9th transformation there are 2 more levels called Supreme and Peerless. But even if I had them now I couldn't cultivate them. Instead, this pre-heaven power can cleanse and refine the body, rebuild the foundation, and it has no age restriction. It is practically tailor-made for me. Chu Xiu clenched the crystal shard tightly, confidence blazing in his eyes. With pre-heaven power, I finally have the foundation to protect myself and face the treacherous struggles inside the Chu family. He looked at the remaining boxes in an excellent mood. There are still plenty of secret boxes left. Hopefully they'll bring me a few more interesting surprises. Meanwhile somewhere else, Li Jing bowed respectfully. Greetings, 7th Lord. The leader of the Li family's merchant caravan, Li Tong. He leisurely drank wine beside a beauty and said cheerfully, "Oh, Li Jing, come sit and drink a few cups. I'll have the innkeeper call more attendants to serve you." Li Jing began complaining bitterly. 7th Lord, someone robbed me in the town just now. I already declared the Li family name, but he didn't take our family seriously at all. Li Tong's expression changed. Oh? Someone dares to touch a member of my Li family? What exactly happened? Li Jing quickly narrated everything in detail, intentionally exaggerating certain parts to provoke Li Tong's pride. Li Tong stroked his beard thoughtfully as he listened. Then he slapped the table confidently. "Don't worry, even a servant of my Li family is not someone those small families can provoke. I'll send people to investigate who exactly dares to be so arrogant." Li Jing was overjoyed and thanked him repeatedly. Half an hour later, A subordinate returned with news. Seventh Lord, we found out, the other party belongs to the Chu family. Li Tong's expression turned serious. Li Jing, this matter is troublesome. Traveling in the Jianghu depends on background, you know it yourself. Among the three major families in Tongzhou, the Shen family ranks first, the Chu family second, and our Li family is the weakest, not to mention me as a mere leader. Even if third young master Li personally came, he couldn't help you. It's better not to provoke trouble. Hearing that, Li Jing felt extremely aggrieved and could only murmur, yes. He hadn't expected even Seventh Lord to be wary of the Chu family. Li Tong suddenly asked curiously, wait, why would a young master of the Chu family come to this remote place? Which young master is he? The answer came, second young master, Chu Xiu. Hearing the name, Li Tong burst into loud laughter. Ha ha ha, Li Jing, I'll handle this matter for you. Clearly he knew something about that young master. Li Jing looked puzzled. Isn't he the second young master of the Chu family? Can we really afford to offend him? Li Tong explained with contempt. If it were the Chu family steward I'd show respect, but Chu Xiu is just trash. Nobody in the Chu family cares about him. He's timid and afraid of trouble. His status is even lower than a steward. He stood up excitedly. Let's go meet that useless second young master. In this tiny place it's rare to find such entertaining fun. He clearly didn't take Chu Xiu seriously. Li Jing still felt doubtful. Timid and afraid of trouble? The person earlier was clearly arrogant and ruthless. Could they really be the same person? He couldn't forget Chu Xiu's eyes. Back to Chu Xiu, he was diligently training his newly acquired martial art inside the inn room. A brilliant green blade arc tore through the air with overwhelming force. He looked at the short blade in his hand with satisfaction. Blade technique blue dragon inside the sleeve, the blade shape is hidden within the sleeve, the blade intent concealed inside the body. When the blade strikes it is like a blue dragon bursting from the sea, the level is at least second transformation. I didn't expect to obtain such a martial skill, truly an unexpected surprise. Chu Xiu silently evaluated. The entire blade technique is simple and easy to learn, its essence lies only in that ultimate slash when the blue dragon emerges from the sea. Easy to begin, difficult to master, it suits the current me perfectly. Just as he was immersed in training, loud pounding suddenly came from the door. Where is Chu Xiu? You dare rob the Li family's people? If you know what's good for you, come out and confess your crime. Chu Xiu paused and narrowed his eyes toward the door. Li Tong and his men barged straight into the inn, shattering the calm atmosphere and throwing the hall into chaos. Chu Xiu, get out here right now. Li Jing quickly pointed upstairs confirming, the one up there is Chu Xiu. Li Tong shouted, Chu Xiu, you act quite bold, daring to touch my Li family's property. Hand over the secret box you stole from Li Jing and kneel to apologize, otherwise you know the consequences. Chu Xiu slowly walked down the stairs with an expression of perfect calm, seemingly indifferent to the noisy crowd below as he replied, what if I don't hand it over? One of Li Tong's lackeys mocked loudly. Seventh Lord asking you to return the item and apologize is already giving you face. Otherwise, with just your few people here, don't even dream of leaving Yuanbao town alive today. Facing the threat, Chu Xiu showed no fear at all and instead revealed a mysterious smile. Make me unable to leave Yuanbao town? Hee hee. Blue dragon inside the sleeve. Without giving his opponent any time to react, Chu Xiu instantly unleashed the skill he had just mastered. A surge of green true qi erupted violently, swirling around him like a storm about to sweep away everything. The phantom of a mighty azure dragon appeared, terrifying Li Tong and Li Jing to the core. A dull thud echoed as the lackey who had been shouting earlier now collapsed unconscious on the ground. Chu Xiu walked past him casually. Holding the gleaming short blade, Chu Xiu's cold gaze swept across the trembling crowd. I hate being threatened the most. Who else? Yue was horrified as she hid behind the door, unable to believe that Chu Xiu had actually killed someone without the slightest hesitation. The fat man Li Tong was drenched in sweat, stammering incoherently in the face of this terrifying change in the young master. You actually dare to. Chu Xiu coldly stepped forward, his aura completely overwhelming. Without giving the other party time to react, he closed the distance in front of the fat servant at incredible speed. A razor-sharp dagger was drawn and pointed straight at Li Tong's throat. Trash like you dares to come and cause trouble for me? Chu Xiu pressed the blade tightly against his throat and growled. Even if the Chu family looks down on me, I'm still the second young master of the Chu family. Where do you, a side branch nobody, get the confidence to mess with me? Even if I kill you right now, the Chu family would at most give me a light punishment. Li Tong trembled as he realized how foolish he had been to provoke a blood relative of the Chu family, no different from slapping the family head in the face. However, Chu Xiu suddenly changed his posture, reversing the dagger and extending the handle toward him. Chu Xiu ordered the fat man to take the dagger, leaving him completely bewildered and unable to understand what was happening. His eyes turned icy as he repeated once more in a tone that allowed no refusal. I said, take it, take the knife. When Li Tong finally held the dagger in his hand, Chu Xiu immediately challenged him. Weren't you just trying to cause trouble for me? Now the knife is in your hand, I'll give you a chance to kill me. Li Tong stood frozen, sweat pouring down his face, while the lackeys behind him were equally panicked. Seeing his hesitation, Chu Xiu grabbed his hand and pulled the blade toward his own chest while shouting, I said kill me. The dagger was only an inch away from Chu Xiu's throat, but Li Tong's hand trembled violently, utterly lacking the courage to go through with it. Finally, Li Tong threw the dagger to the ground and collapsed, begging desperately, this lowly one wouldn't dare, I was wrong. Chu Xiu gave him several slaps and contemptuously kicked him out. I gave you a chance, but you're useless, even with a knife in your hand you don't dare to kill. Who gave you the courage to come make trouble for me? Take the body and get out of my sight. Yu'er witnessed the entire event from afar and began to shiver, wondering if this was still the same useless trash she once knew. Li Tong was furious, but he and his lackeys could only flee in embarrassment. As soon as they got outside, the fat man immediately slapped Li Jing across the face and started cursing non-stop. Screw your mother, it's all because of this idiot that so much trouble came down on us. Just you wait, even with third young master backing you, I'll still make you suffer. Night fell, and the cold moonlight spread everywhere. Inside the quiet room, the guard Gao Bei respectfully bowed before Chu Xiu. Young master, may I ask why you called for me so late at night? He observed Gao Bei and sighed inwardly. Gao Bei came to the Chu family when he was just a teenager, and has always done odd jobs, completely unknown. His talent is average, he's been learning martial arts for nearly 10 years and only just reached the body tempering stage, but he's at least honest. Suddenly, Chu Xiu spoke, Gao Bei, I was framed and sent down to the Nanshan mine, and you were dragged into it and assigned here with me. Do you have any complaints? The guard simply replied submissively, Young master, I've never thought that way. Being able to serve as second young master's guard already makes me very happy. Chu Xiu continued, You've been in the Chu family for over 10 years, working hard, yet you're still just a servant. With only 2 taels of silver a month, the servants who entered the Chu family with you, many of them have become shopkeepers or stewards. Do you feel unwilling? Gao Bei replied, I'm clumsy with words and dull by nature. Being where I am today is already enough for me. Chu Xiu stated firmly, No, you're not satisfied. Even a mongrel, after being fed prime meat for a year, won't be willing to go back to leftovers over rice. If even a dog is like that, then there's no need to mention people. People never truly feel satisfied. Placing a hand on Gao Bei's shoulder, he promised, You've followed me for so long. When I lose, you lose, and when I rise, you rise. Do you understand? Gao Bei seemed completely convinced and shouted loudly that he understood his master's intentions. But Chu Xiu shook his head. No, you don't. He explained, Heaven decides 3 parts, and 7 parts come from your own struggle. Whatever you want in life, you have to bet your life to seize it. People like us, abandoned by heaven, can only fight with our lives if we want to climb up. He revealed a calculating smile and continued, Before, you didn't even have the chance to risk your life. Now, I'm giving you one. Go to Mount Shangmang outside Yuanao town and find the bandit leader there. Deliver a letter from me to him. When it's done, the reward is 100 taels of silver, and from then on, you, Gao Bei, will be one of my trusted men. Gao Bei thought deeply, realizing Chu Xiu's extraordinary change and deciding to bet his life on this mission. With firm determination, Gao Bei declared he would carry out everything the second young master had instructed. Chu Xiu handed over the letter and said, "Good, go immediately. Remember, this matter must not have even the slightest mistake." After Gao Bei left, he revealed a cruel smile and silently mentioned Yue, warning of the price for daring to target him. 7 days later, Chu Xiu's convoy was rattling along a desolate mountain road as they returned to Tongzhou. Inside the carriage, Yue curiously asked about Gao Bei's absence, and Chu Xiu casually replied that he had gone ahead to report back to the residence. Hearing this, Yue secretly covered her mouth and laughed smugly, thinking Chu Xiu would never have the chance to return there again. Chu Xiu suddenly turned to Yue and asked whether bandits might appear along this road. The maid hurriedly reassured him, "Young master, don't say such unlucky things. Besides, you're a young master of the Chu family. Who would dare lay a hand on you?" But Chu Xiu sneered and replied, "You never know, heaven changes without warning, and disaster strikes without notice. You can hide from natural disasters, but man-made calamity is hard to guard against." Yue thought he was only joking, but at that moment a shout of, "Stop the carriage!" rang out from outside. Chu Xiu calmly lifted the curtain and looked out, his face completely fearless. "See? Man-made calamity has arrived." A group of ferocious bandits had blocked the road, surrounding the carriage and the guards of the Chu family. The leader, with a huge scar across his chest, carried a massive blade as he stepped forward. It was the notorious bandit Lian Laosan. He roared for everyone to get out of the carriage immediately. Chu Xiu calmly stepped down and bargained with the bandits. "Heroes, if you're here for money, I have a few thousand taels of silver. You can take it all. As for anything else, we're not a trade caravan and don't have much of value." But Lian Laosan only sneered and declared, "A few thousand taels is quite a bit. But your life is worth more than that, brat. Tell me, how do you want to die?" Chu Xiu glanced at Yue and smiled meaningfully before replying, "Lives can be bought with money. Since someone paid to take my life, I can also pay to buy it back. You know who I am. If you step aside now, in the future you can ask for as much silver as you want." Lian Laosan admitted Chu Xiu had some courage, but he still chose to keep faith with the person who hired him, then ordered his men to prepare to send him on his way. Hiding inside the carriage, the maid Yue smugly thought her plan had succeeded and that Chu Xiu would surely die today. Chu Xiu looked straight at the bandit and said coldly, "Since I can't buy back my own life, I'll just have to buy yours instead." As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Xiu rushed straight toward the bandit, shocking him completely. The bandit roared angrily, "You're looking for death." He spun around and delivered a powerful slash, determined to split the young master's body in half on the spot. While dodging the attack, Chu Xiu analyzed in his mind, "I can't feel any inner power from this guy's moves. Looks like he's just relying on brute strength. His technique is rough too. With my current level, I can only hope to hold out until a chance appears." He calmly used his short blade to block Lian Laosan's thunderous strike, producing an ear-splitting clash. The difference in physique did not intimidate Chu Xiu. He continued patiently searching for an opportunity to counterattack. Lian Laosan was surprised, never expecting a rumored useless person to withstand his strike. He repeatedly unleashed horizontal and vertical slashes, creating whistling gusts around Chu Xiu's ears. With agile footwork, Chu Xiu kept sliding low across the ground to escape the reach of the deadly blade. The confrontation unfolded dramatically within the deep forest, one side attacking relentlessly while the other skillfully evaded. Lian Laosan grew increasingly irritated as he failed to land a single hit on the Chu family's second master. The lackeys outside laughed mockingly. "Look at that useless young master stumbling and scrambling. Letting the boss personally handle him really flatters him. Haha, trash will always be trash." Lian Laosan began to feel something was wrong and cursed inwardly. "Damn, this brat is really weird. He looks pathetic. But he keeps dodging every time. If I can't even take down a piece of trash, doesn't that make me worse than trash?" He roared like a furious beast. "You little punk really piss me off. If you've got guts, stop dodging, wah." Seeing his opponent lose composure, Chu Xiu revealed a satisfied smile, knowing his opportunity had arrived. Suddenly, Chu Xiu activated the skill Azure Dragon in the sleeve, a stream of azure spiritual power enveloping his arm. A tiny blade shot out from his sleeve at unimaginable speed, leaving Lian Laosan completely unable to react. Chu Xiu's eyes were now filled with killing intent, showing the ruthless expression of someone who had seized full control of the battle. The blade sliced across Lian Laosan's chest, spraying blood everywhere, forcing the bandit to retreat in panic to save his life. The underlings hurriedly rushed forward to support their boss, unable to understand what had just happened to someone they had despised. Lian Laosan could not believe his eyes. He trembled as he realized that if not for his combat instincts helping him dodge in time, that strike would have killed him. Chu Xiu inwardly felt regret that he had not yet fully mastered this move, otherwise the bandit would not still be standing there trembling. Enraged by the injury, Lian Laosan ordered all his subordinates to charge forward and kill everyone present. The bandits shouted and rushed forward waving their weapons like a pack of starving wolves surrounding prey. Trying to kill people without asking my permission? A powerful voice suddenly rang out, stunning the crowd. A massive shadow appeared through the dust, carrying a giant blade even larger than Lian Laosan's weapon. He was Manhwa, another infamous bandit leader. He burst into laughter and declared he wanted a share of this business. Yuer turned pale, worried whether this new group had been sent by someone or was an unforeseen variable. Manhwa's forces quickly surrounded the entire area, turning the situation around instantly. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu remained calm as ever, as if he had long known this guest would appear. Lian Laosan shouted angrily, "Manhwa, this is my turf, what the hell do you want?" Manhwa replied without hesitation using crude words, "What do I want? To beep you up, of course. You've snatched my business not just once or twice. This time, I'm sending you to meet the king of hell." He swung the massive blade, unleashing an overwhelming strike toward the already exhausted Lian Laosan. Lian Laosan tried to resist, but Manhwa's strength was far too great, forcing him to retreat again and again. A powerful clash rang out as Manhwa knocked away his weapon and followed up with a fatal slash. Severely injured and realizing the situation was hopeless, Lian Laosan hurriedly ordered his men to retreat in order to save their lives. Manhwa revealed a cold smile. Too late. Lian Laosan clutched the wound on his arm, his face drained of blood. A jet of bright red blood burst forth, and the once ferocious bandit leader collapsed at the feet of another bandit chief. Manhwa ordered his men to charge forward and kill the remnants of Lian Laosan's forces. Chu Xiu stood observing Manhwa's footwork and realized this was a martial artist with proper lineage rather than an ordinary bandit. Chu Xiu approached and thanked Manhwa for the help. The man laughed loudly and asked whether he wasn't afraid that he might swallow everything whole and kill him as well. At that moment, Gao Bei hurried over and reported, "Young master, glad we made it. This is Chief Ma of Shangmong Mountain whom you ordered this servant to find." Chu Xiu calmly replied, "Chief Ma is a smart man. Since you received my letter, you should know killing me would get you a few thousand taels of silver at most. But if you don't kill me, you can get that batch of refined ore I promised in the letter, and replace all that scrap copper and rotten iron your subordinates are using." Manhwa fell into thought before this tempting offer. Chu Xiu added one more heavy sentence. "Isn't the choice already obvious?" Looking at Lian Laosan's corpse, Chu Xiu thought to himself, "Second concubine is vicious, she won't show any mercy, even to an illegitimate son like me who has almost no chance of inheriting the position of family head. From the moment you suggested taking the small path, I guessed that she had bribed bandits to borrow a knife to kill a man. Heh, if she can spend money to have bandits kill me, I can use bandits to protect me." Manhwa still had some doubts and asked, "You really didn't lie to me? As far as I know, those ores are very important to your Chu family. You're willing to give them to me?" Chu Xiu replied coldly, "Someone in the Chu family wants me dead. Why should I care about the supplies for them?" Chu Xiu produced a document and continued, "This is my warrant. Use it to get a batch of ore at a low price. Be quick, while I am still the steward." Manhwa laughed loudly, saying big family affairs were truly filthy, yet he admired Chu Xiu's decisiveness. Manhwa, calling himself Julian, laughed heartily and told Chu Xiu that if he had any profitable deals in the future, he could come find him and he would give acquaintances a discount. Watching Manhwa's departing back, Chu Xiu murmured, "Julian, a bandit with martial arts heritage. I know who he is. Gao Bei has good luck, he actually hired someone with quite a background." Afterward, he turned to look at the carriage and revealed a meaningful smile. Inside the carriage, Yue was terrified, her mind full of questions. Why is it like this? Isn't Chu Xiu trash? How did he easily seriously injure that bandit leader? Also, what was with that group of people later? They actually helped Chu Xiu. Suddenly the carriage curtain was lifted, and Chu Xiu's face appeared, startling her. Yue pretended to cry miserably and asked whether the bandits had already been driven away. Chu Xiu smiled gently. Of course they were driven away, but in his mind he thought, this bitch still wants to keep acting. He lifted her chin and whispered, I'm not dead, you must be very disappointed, right? Yue trembled and denied, young master is joking, it's a good thing the bandits were repelled, how could this servant be disappointed? Chu Xiu's eyes suddenly turned murderous as he grabbed her throat and asked coldly, do you really take me for an idiot? Speak, exactly how much silver did my good second mother spend to hire these bandits? Otherwise die. Choking from his grip, Yue confessed everything. I'll speak, young master, I'll say everything. Second concubine spent 10,000 taels of silver. Chu Xiu released his hand deep in thought. 10,000 taels of silver, what a generous hand. Does my second mother hate me that much? She continued. Second concubine said young master stubbornly stands on the eldest young master's side, and sooner or later would ruin things. Plus, she recently won over the fourth young master, so she wanted to eliminate future trouble once and for all. The Chu family genealogy appeared. Family head Chu Zongguang had 3 wives and 4 sons. First wife, eldest son Chu Kai. Second concubine, third son Chu Xing. Third concubine, fourth son Chu Shang. Chu Xiu was merely the second son of a deceased concubine, his status extremely low. Recalling his previous life, Chu Xiu is an illegitimate son, and the probability of him inheriting the family head position is very small. He thought the eldest son, Chu Kai, had the best chance of winning, so he took sides with Chu Kai early on. But after taking sides, the first wife and Chu Kai no longer took him seriously. They didn't even lend a hand when he was framed by the third brother. He clenched his fists with determination. The Chu Xiu of the previous life was extremely similar to the old Milo's status, and without any means, so he gave up the thought of fighting for the family head position early on. In this life, since I have become Chu Xiu and know the plot well, I must fight for the position of the Chu family heir. With the Chu family's resources, at least my cultivation can be faster. Returning to the present, Chu Xiu asked Yue, do you have any evidence of second mother colluding with the bandits? She replied, second concubine sent a confidant directly to find the bandits. The bandits took the money and did the job without asking much. No evidence was left. Yue knelt down begging Chu Xiu to spare her life. Chu Xiu smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, I never kill women. Hearing this, she let out a sigh of relief. But in the very next second, Chu Xiu's shadow covered her. A dry crack sound echoed as, without hesitation, he coldly snapped the neck of the traitorous maid. Looking at Yue's corpse collapsing, Chu Xiu sneered, I lied to you, so naive yet you still dared to be a spy. 7 days later, Wei Commandery, Tongzhou Prefecture, Chu family, a solemn atmosphere filled with schemes and intrigue. Chu Xiu finally arrived before the gate of his family's headquarters. Second concubine, the only daughter of Ding Kaishan, the master of Kaishan Martial Arts Hall in Tongzhou Prefecture, ruthless and vicious. More than 20 years ago, Chu Zongguang put down roots here because he married her. Chu Xiu stepped forward politely. Greetings, second mother, haven't seen you for a year. Second mother has become even younger. She was stunned to see that he had actually returned alive. Her eyes showed suspicion as she coldly asked, where is your maid Yue? Chu Xiu replied with a half-smile, sigh, Yue's body was too weak. I accidentally played her to death. Hearing this provocative answer, she nearly exploded with anger. Inwardly she thought, Yue died? Then regarding her arranging bandits to kill Chu Xiu, does he know or not? Besides, this Chu Xiu seems like a different person. A year ago, he wouldn't dare speak like this. Suppressing her anger, she told him to enter because the family head and the others were waiting. Chu Xiu strode proudly into the main hall and respectfully greeted his father, the uncles, and the other wives. This person is the family head, Chu Zongguang. he started from scratch, relying on a few dozen people, and used over 20 years to make the Chu family one of the 3 major families in Tongzhou Prefecture, surpassing even the Li family, which has been rooted here for over 100 years. Seeing Chu Xiu, he indifferently said, "You're back?" Then he coldly ordered Chu Xiu, "Sit." Looking at the aura emanating from his father, Chu Xiu thought about his strength. Chu Zongguang's strength is Xiantian. He has cross-body tempering and blood condensation. The qi, blood, essence, and bones in his body have blended into one. That is why, although past 50, he looks even younger than a 40-year-old. Chu Xiu sat down thoughtfully. He knew his father was obsessed with cultivation and rarely cared about worldly matters or his 4 sons. Ironically, despite so many years of seclusion, his strength had stagnated for more than 20 years. Chu Zongguang solemnly declared before the entire family, "My Chu family has been in Tongzhou Prefecture for over 20 years. Now, we can be considered thoroughly rooted here. These past few days, the children have also grown up. It is time to decide the position of the family heir." Immediately the first wife spoke up to defend her son's interests. "Decide what? Chu Kai is the legitimate eldest son of the Chu family, and his strength is the greatest. Of course, he should be the heir." Second concubine immediately retorted in a provocative tone, "Big sister, what you said isn't right. We aren't royalty where the eldest son must inherit. Naturally, the master makes the decision on such matters. Third sister, don't you agree?" Third concubine could only smile awkwardly and skillfully push the responsibility to her husband. "This servant is just a woman and doesn't understand anything. Naturally, whatever the master says goes." Chu Zongguang shouted loudly to end the argument, "Enough, I have my own plans for this matter. Chu Kai, Chu Xiu, Chu Xing, and Chu Shang all hold parts of the family business. In 1 year's time, whoever makes the greatest progress, the heir position will be theirs. Do you all agree?" The main hall of the Chu family in full view, the atmosphere extremely solemn. Everyone spoke in unison. "This servant agrees." Chu Xiu quietly observed. He secretly evaluated. Several family elders of the Chu family, although they bear the title of elder, actually dare not defy Chu Zongguang's will. His gaze shifted to Chu Kai and the first wife. This mother and son pair were equally arrogant, looking down on everyone, even daring to talk back to the old master, which only made Chu Zongguang dislike them even more. Next was the second concubine, a woman cruel and full of schemes. She was putting all her effort into pushing her son Chu Xing to the position of heir. But unfortunately that son was too incompetent, and didn't even know how to hide his stupidity. In contrast, the third concubine was the truly intelligent one. On the surface she acted as if she wasn't competing, but because of that she had gained Chu Zongguang's favor. The old master also seemed to be very fond of her youngest son Chu Shang. Looking straight at his father, Chu Xiu felt that Chu Zongguang was the most unpredictable person. His mouth always said he was choosing an heir, yet his actions showed he didn't seem to care at all. The first wife objected fiercely, "I disagree. My Chu family is a wuxia family. The heir to the family head must naturally rely on strength. Chu Xiu, don't you agree?" The first wife curled her lips into a triumphant smile. She was certain that Chu Xiu stood on her side, and as long as he objected, the ratio would be 2 against 2. Even if Chu Zongguang favored Chu Shang, he wouldn't dare make it too obvious. But contrary to expectations, Chu Xiu clasped his hands respectfully. "Father must have his reasons for doing this. This son has no objections." The first wife's eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe that this fellow actually dared to go against her wishes right here. Even the second concubine couldn't understand what was happening. She thought to herself, "Why? I already arranged for someone to assassinate him, yet he still dares to stand on my side?" Chu Kai angrily pointed at Chu Xiu. "Chu Xiu, do you know what you're saying? I'll give you another chance, if you have the guts say it again." Chu Xiu still replied calmly, "Elder brother, is there anything wrong with me listening to father's words? You aren't even the family head yet and you're already meddling so much. In the future we might as well go beg for food." Chu Kai was left speechless. At that moment, Chu Zongguang slammed the table and shouted, "Enough, I'm not dead yet, this matter's decided, no one is allowed to argue anymore." Seeing his father had spoken, Chu Xiu seized the opportunity and stepped forward. since father has set the rules, shouldn't you share some of the family business with me as well? The Nanshan mining area I'm in charge of is only so big, there is no way to improve at all. You can't favor one and discriminate against the other too much, right? Chu Zongguang stared at his son, somewhat surprised inside. He hadn't expected Chu Xiu to suddenly develop such great ambition. The three wives all showed shocked expressions. They realized that Chu Xiu was actually aiming for the position of family head and was not as simple as he appeared. At that moment, the steward Lu stepped out and mocked. The mining area is also family property. Second young master, don't push your luck, understand? Chu Xiu's eyes suddenly turned icy. He beckoned with his hand. Steward Lu, come here for a moment. I have something to say to you. The old steward still swaggered forward. If second young master has something to say, just say it directly, or are you afraid this lowly one is standing too far away to hear? As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Xiu suddenly threw a powerful punch straight into his chest. A loud bang echoed through the entire hall. Steward Lu couldn't react in time and collapsed to the ground, blood spraying from his mouth and nose. The old steward lay there groaning in pain. Not stopping there, Chu Xiu rushed forward and stomped viciously on his back, completely knocking Steward Lu down on the floor. Witnessing the violence right before their eyes, everyone present in the hall was stunned with their mouths wide open. The second concubine broke out in cold sweat, thinking, has this Chu Xiu gone mad? He actually dares to attack so ruthlessly in front of the master? Chu Zongguang trembled with anger and slammed the table. Enough, Chu Xiu, what the hell are you doing? Attacking someone openly like this, do you still see me as your father? Chu Xiu calmly clasped his hands in apology, but his tone remained extremely firm. Father, please calm your anger. I merely couldn't restrain myself for a moment. How could a servant dare interrupt while masters are speaking? Father is too benevolent, that is why they don't know proper rules. He glanced at Steward Lu lying on the ground and continued, if a piece of trash like you were in the Nanshan mining area, I would have had you thrown out to be lit as a sky lantern long ago. Father is benevolent, but I, Chu Xiu, am not so easy to talk to. Chu Zongguang fell silent, thinking, what Chu Xiu said isn't wrong. Although Steward Lu is a relative of the first wife, he is a servant after all. It seems that because I am in seclusion all year round, these servants have become somewhat outrageous. He sighed and ordered, forget it. Remember this next time. This is the Chu family house, not the Nanshan mining area. I will punish you with 3 months of salary to pay Steward Lu's medical expenses. Chu Xiu lowered his head to accept the punishment but didn't forget to repeat his earlier request. This child obeys the order. However, father, surely you can't let me keep guarding just the Nanshan mining area as my business? Otherwise, what is the significance of calling me, the heir to the family head, back here? Chu Zongguang rested his chin in thought. Although he had no intention of letting Chu Xiu become the heir yet, he couldn't be overly harsh toward him in front of everyone at this moment. The first wife still wasn't satisfied and tried to press further. Master, are we just letting this pass? Chu Xiu openly caused trouble and beat someone. He clearly doesn't respect you at all. Chu Zongguang waved it off. What more do you want? Have him pay with his life for that steward? I already said this matter ends here. When the caravan returns from Yan Kingdom, Chu Xiu will take it over. Chu Xiu bowed deeply. Many thanks to father for your trust. A subtle smile appeared on his face. Inwardly he mocked the first wife and her son as fools, born into a great family yet unable to understand their own position. Always confronting Chu Zongguang head-on would only bring harm to themselves. Chu Zongguang stood up and waved his hand. All right, the matter is finished. Everyone disperse. The tense family meeting finally came to an end. The second concubine and her son left with unpleasant expressions. She hadn't expected the long-neglected Chu Xiu to change so drastically after just 1 year in the mining area. The scene shifted to the residence of the second concubine. Her son asked worriedly, Mother, didn't you arrange someone to deal with him already? How could he still come back here alive like this? The second concubine sighed. I miscalculated. I never expected that after 1 year in Nanshan, he would become so frightening. However, she quickly regained her sharp expression. However, my son, don't worry, that Chu Xiu dared to strike someone in front of the master. It was simply extremely crazy. The Chu family will not let a madman be the heir. Chu Kai has great ambition but little talent. Chu Xiang is only in his teens. He is too young. Only you are the best candidate. Chu Xiu continued. By the way, mother, the steward's father assigned to Chu Xiu's trade caravan are all your people. Why not throw a wrench in his works? She curled her lips into a sinister smile. Don't worry, those people cost me a lot of money. I guarantee that even if Chu Xiu gets the trade caravan, he won't be able to command a single person. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu had already arrived at the family's pharmacy. It seemed he was preparing for another resource collection plan before setting out. Chu Xiu entered the family's pharmacy with his subordinate, and the subordinate asked, Young master, according to the old rules, your cultivation resources were all collected by the eldest young master. Will they give them to us? Chu Xiu replied, Remember, those are the old rules. Now, some rules need to change. Just as they stepped in, Steward Zhou, the pharmacy manager, came out with an arrogant expression. What an honored guest. The second young master has never stepped into the pharmacy before. What brings you here today? The subordinate beside Chu Xiu quickly answered, Steward Zhou, it's like this. The young master is here to collect his cultivation resources for this year. The man sneered upon hearing his intention. Second young master must be joking with me, right? Your resources have always been collected by the eldest young master, so why come ask me now? Chu Xiu coldly retorted, Then why did you give my resources to Chu Kai? Did I say so, or did my father give that order? Steward Zhou still joked, If second young master isn't satisfied, go ask the eldest young master. Venting anger on me is a bit excessive. Chu Xiu's eyes flashed with killing intent, his lips curling slightly. Very good. Before Steward Zhou could react, another old steward suddenly moved with incredible speed. A thunderous slap sent him spinning. The fat steward collapsed on the ground, clutching his face and groaning. Just then another high-ranking steward ran out shouting, You fool! How dare you speak to the second young master like that? Do you even know your place? That steward slapped Steward Zhou and scolded harshly, Shut up immediately, it's not your place to speak here. Turning to Chu Xiu, he immediately changed to a humble tone. My subordinate was ignorant. Please forgive him, second young master. Your resources are still here. Not a single bit missing. I have also prepared an extra bottle of high-grade blood condensation pills for you. Chu Xiu replied coldly, Don't let this happen again. Chu Xiu calmly left with his subordinates. Leaving the pharmacy in a stifling atmosphere, the steward breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, finally gone. Steward Zhou clutched his swollen face and asked, Chief Steward, why did you hit me? And why were you so polite to that Chu Xiu? The man replied, That was to save your life, otherwise you would have gotten into big trouble. The steward warned seriously, Remember this, from now on you must respect the second young master even more than the other young masters. He is no longer the Chu Xiu we once knew. Chu Xiu walked confidently on the road back to his residence. He returned to his dwelling, a quiet estate nestled against the mountainside. Gao Bei was still shocked. Young master, you were truly imposing just now. Even the chief steward of the pharmacy had to act respectfully toward you. Chu Xiu simply replied with a philosophical sentence. That wasn't politeness, that was fear. He continued with cold eyes. Evil always has two sides. If you can't be so kind that others respect you, then you must be cruel enough that everyone fears you. Seeing Gao Bei confused, Chu Xiu sneered. Of course you don't understand, otherwise you wouldn't still be stuck without becoming a steward. Go find some wooden stakes and set them up in the yard for me. I want to practice blade techniques. Gao Bei immediately obeyed. Chu Xiu pondered the path of martial Dao. The path of martial Dao is nothing more than talent, perseverance, opportunity, and comprehension. My talent is average, comprehension is unknown, and opportunities require strength to seize. Therefore, for now, I can only put effort into perseverance. Chu Xiu began pouring medicine into a cup, thinking, 2 packs of Birki powder per month. The Grand Steward gave 30 packs, 3 blood condensation pills per year. He gave 10 of high quality. He certainly knows how to handle things. He took a sip of the medicine and commented, Birki powder is simple to concoct. It can replenish qi and strengthen the body, aiding cultivation. It is perfect for cultivating the Xiantian Gong. Chu Xiu sat cross-legged and circulated his cultivation method. Taoist cultivation methods are moderate and peaceful. The more one cultivates, the more abundant one's energy becomes. In this aspect, it far surpasses other cultivation methods. A deep blue aura of spiritual energy surrounded him. The next morning, Chu Xiu ended his training. After a night of cultivation, the meridians have circulated automatically. The 8 channels are all unblocked. My body already possesses the true qi of Xiantian Gong. The result is truly not bad. His eyes became sharp. Next is blade practice. Holding the blade in his hand, he evaluated. My current blue dragon inside the sleeve only has the blade form but lacks the blade intent, so I must practice the most basic blade swings repeatedly. Under the moonlight, Chu Xiu continuously swung his blade at the wooden stakes. The slashes tore through the air, producing sharp sounds that echoed across the yard. His speed grew faster and faster, each strike carrying terrifying force, sending wooden fragments flying everywhere. He didn't stop, forcing himself past his limits. At that moment, Gao Bei brought tea and reported, "Young master, I heard some news. The stewards leading the caravan that the master assigned to you are all the second concubine's people. They say that when the caravan returns, they intend to give you, young master, a display of severity to humble you." Chu Xiu asked, "They dare spread this news so openly?" Gao Bei nodded. Yes, the news was spread by one of the second concubine's close maids. They said when the caravan returns they plan to humiliate you so that you learn proper etiquette. He curled his lips into a contemptuous smile. That mother and son really don't take me seriously. It's a pity, you all thought wrong, with me. People who do not listen are no different from dead people. Chu Xiu ordered, "Gao Bei, tomorrow morning come with me to Shangwang Mountain. We will go meet that bandit leader Manhwa." Gao Bei was startled. Ah. Seeing his subordinate worried, Chu Xiu reassured him, "What are you afraid of? Bandits don't eat people. Besides, he will become our most powerful helper." At the bandit camp, Chu Xiu sat calmly across from Manhwa. "Chief Ma, what I want to discuss with you is quite important. Could you have your subordinates step aside for a moment?" Manhwa laughed loudly. "No need. These are brothers with whom I have life and death friendships. There is nothing to hide from them." Chu Xiu continued calmly, "Chief Ma, then I'll speak directly. I know you people are not bandits." Manhwa sneered, "Ridiculous. If Lousy with this appearance doesn't look like a bandit, then what else could I possibly be?" Chu Xiu suddenly revealed, "You are the remnants of Northern Land's 36 giant bandits." This sentence was like a bomb exploding in the bandit camp. Manhwa and his men were all stunned. Having his identity exposed, Manhwa immediately drew his blade and slashed toward Chu Xiu with killing intent. Chu Xiu dodged the attack and swiftly drew his dagger, striking back at his opponent. Chu Xiu warned coldly, "Chief Ma, tell them not to act rashly. If I truly wanted to make trouble for you, a single wanted order would have wiped you out long ago." Manhwa retorted, "How do you know our identity?" Chu Xiu explained, "I guessed. Chieftain Ma's kung fu is orthodox, and the troops' discipline is strict. Added to that, you mentioned the word Qilian. Therefore, aside from the Qilian iron cavalry among the Northern Land's 36 giant bandits, I really can't think of anything else." Manhwa sneered, "Damn it, turns out it was Lousy who didn't watch his mouth." However, what truly allowed me to confirm their identity was the original plot. Decades ago, Northern Yan was in great chaos. The 36 giant bandits emerged out of nowhere, daring even to plunder the Northern Yan imperial court. But later, Northern Yan rose again and joined forces with the major martial arts sect, the extreme north floating snow city, to crush the 36 giant bandits in one fell swoop. The various leaders were either dead or crippled, never to become a significant force again. In the original plot, there was news of the remnants of the Northern Land's 36 giant bandits appearing in Wei Commandery. Returning to the present, Chu Xiu looked straight into Manhwa's eyes. "Now Chieftain Ma should know my sincerity, right?" Manhwa still remained cautious. "What exactly do you want to trade with my boss?" "Telling me first is the same." Chu Xiu threw out his final card. "I know the whereabouts of the great chieftain of the Qilian Iron Cavalry, the one known as the red-faced Heavenly King Pang Hu. Is that information enough for us to make a deal?" His proposal shocked everyone. Facing Manhwa's suspicion, Chu Xiu still remained strangely calm. Manhwa pressed. You really know the great chieftain's whereabouts? You aren't lying to me? Chu Xiu replied mysteriously. Once you see the one behind you, the truth will naturally be revealed. Besides, once we are there, I wouldn't dare to lie either. Seeing Chu Xiu's seriousness, Manhwa decided, fine, then follow me. My boss is in North Shangmong Mountain. It will take a few days to get there. 5 days later, they arrived at North Shangmong Mountain. A fortified stronghold appeared among the overlapping mountains. This was the real base of these remnants. Inside the main hall of the stronghold, Manhwa explained, after arriving in Wei Commandery, Big Brother established a base here. For safety, we built a smaller bandit camp outside as well. Wait here for a moment, I'll go report. Chu Xiu replied, all right. A moment later, Manhwa returned with a burly man whose aura was oppressive. Manhwa introduced, this is Han Bao, once the personal guard of the great chieftain. Han Bao examined Chu Xiu with sharp eyes. Is it you who says you know the great chieftain's whereabouts? Chu Xiu secretly evaluated, peak of the blood condensation realm. This man is far stronger than me. However, he still calmly answered, correct. Han Bao didn't like beating around the bush and shouted, stop the nonsense, say it straight, what exactly do you want? If you ask for an outrageous price, don't blame me for being ruthless. Chu Xiu remained relaxed. This information is a meeting gift for Chief Han. As far as I know, after the great chieftain Pang, who was seriously injured by the Northern Yan court, he is currently hiding and recovering in the desolate mountains of Liaodong Commandery in the north. Han Bao was stunned. Is that true? Chu Xiu thought. I didn't expect those small background details in the game setting to be so useful. He continued, if Chief Han doesn't believe me, you can send someone to Broken Soul Valley in Liaodong to check. There are secret codes left there by great chieftain Pang. Chu Xiu's confidence began to shake Han Bao. Han Bao sat down in the main seat. Fine, sit, I'll send someone to check immediately. If the great chieftain is truly found, I, Han Bao, will owe you a favor, say it. What do you want? Chu Xiu asked back. After finding Pang Hu, what does Chief Han plan to do? Han Bao laughed loudly. Of course I'll lead the brothers of the stronghold to go seek refuge with the great chieftain. A simple plan very much in the style of bandits. Chu Xiu shook his head. Wrong. The great chieftain is recovering from injuries. If you all rush there, you'll only make him more dangerous because his whereabouts could be exposed. He might not even allow you to follow him. What you should do now is accumulate money, provisions, and cultivation resources to prepare for his rise in the future. Han Bao pondered. We'll talk about that after finding the great chieftain. Now tell me what your intention is. Chu Xiu looked straight at him. I want to cooperate with you to make money. Hearing about profit, Han Bao's eyes lit up. Something that good? Explain in detail. He began to be drawn into Chu Xiu's negotiation. Chu Xiu analyzed. In Shangmong Mountain there are many bandit groups constantly robbing caravans, forcing them to take long detours or hire many guards. Your job is becoming harder and harder, right? Han Bao admitted, that's right, so what should we do? Chu Xiu proposed a protection scheme. Without rules, we make our own rules. As long as caravans hand over a portion of their profits, they will be escorted safely through the mountains. This benefits both sides. Han Bao wondered, wouldn't that make me the enemy of all the bandits here? Chu Xiu smiled meaningfully. This entire mountain range only needs one voice. Could it be that Chief Han isn't confident in suppressing those mixed rabble? Han Bao sneered. Of course I am. If not for my old injury not healing yet, I would have cleaned up those pieces of trash long ago. Chu Xiu was slightly surprised. I didn't expect this guy used to be a Xiantian expert. I underestimated him. This fact made Han Bao even more valuable in Chu Xiu's eyes. Han Bao pressed, Hey kid Chu Xiu, you've offered such a good idea. What exactly do you want? Chu Xiu replied, very simple. I also have a caravan from the Chu family. I want it to pass here without obstruction. In addition, I want Chief Han to help me kill a few people. Han Bao sneered, the first condition is fine. But if you want me to be your hired killer, then that little bit of information isn't enough. Chu Xiu continued, of course I can give you even more than that. I will provide advanced information about caravans passing through, so you will never return empty-handed. Han Bao felt quite satisfied after hearing this. Sounds pretty good. Chu Xiu added another move. Soon I'll report a Chu family caravan to you as a meeting gift. Han Bao was stunned. Robbing even your own family's caravan? What exactly do you mean? He didn't expect Chu Xiu to be this ruthless and decisive. Chu Xiu corrected coldly. That is the Chu family's caravan, not my caravan. Hearing this, Han Bao laughed with great delight. Good. He thought to himself, when it comes to viciousness, we can't compare to these disciples of aristocratic families. They are actually so ruthless to their own people. Chu Xiu stood opposite with an extremely calm demeanor. He said that if there was any news in the future, they could just use carrier pigeons to send messages. Outside, the Chu family's caravan was already bustling as they prepared to depart. Everyone had to stay highly focused because this trip was by no means simple. Chu Xiu walked out together with Gao Bei, his face cold as he stared straight ahead and asked angrily, "Who allowed you to leave?" Steward Zhang Quan hurriedly ran over and bowed, his face full of excitement as he introduced himself. "This servant is Zhang Quan, the caravan steward. Greetings, second young master." Chu Xiu continued to ask, "Who is in charge of this caravan right now?" Zhang Quan replied, "Of course, it is under your charge, second young master." But Chu Xiu showed no courtesy at all and immediately questioned him. "Since it is under my charge, then who allowed you to load the cargo and set off just now? How much silver did the last batch of goods sell for? What was brought back? What is being transported in this batch? Have you ever discussed these with me?" This Zhang Quan was still very stubborn. He laughed it off and explained, "Second young master, please forgive me, because you were not present. I asked for instructions from the family head before acting. Time waits for no one. Rest assured, second young master, there will be absolutely no problems with this trip. If there are any mistakes, I am at your disposal." After hearing this, Chu Xiu merely smiled. He patted the steward on the shoulder and said meaningfully, "Well done, Steward Zhang. I hope you will not regret this decision." The steward bowed and forced a smile. "Thank you for the praise, second young master. Working for the Chu family, this servant will never regret it." Zhang Quan watched his back with a disdainful expression. He was confident that he had traveled this route countless times, and since he belonged to the third young master, there was nothing to fear. Chu Xiu turned around and left, not forgetting to give the steward one final good luck before sending him to his death. Immediately afterward, he ordered Gao Bei to inform Han Bao of the caravan's route and exact departure time. The Chu family's caravan quietly entered the narrow trail, unaware that a bloody trap was already waiting ahead. On the road, several servants began whispering, "Old Zhang, you've offended the second young master to death. I heard that after returning from the mining area, the second young master is different. Of course I know, but don't forget, we are the third young master's people. Aren't you afraid the second young master will deal with us? The Chu family is a great clan and must follow rules. We haven't broken any rules, so Chu Xiu can't touch us." The subordinate still felt uneasy. His instincts told him that this matter was definitely not as simple as it appeared. Zhang Quan was still arrogantly giving orders to the subordinates. "Everyone remember, if we really encounter bandits, drop the goods immediately. Lives are more important than anything, yes." As night fell, the full moon hung high above the mountain peak. The steward told everyone to continue a little farther to find a cave to rest in. But before any cave could be found, the bandits had already appeared with blazing torches, blocking the caravan's path. Zhang Quan shouted in panic, "It's bandits, run quickly!" His face turned pale with fear. The scene instantly fell into chaos. The servants threw away the cargo carts and scattered in all directions to save their lives. Han Bao stepped out holding a massive saber, blocking Zhang Quan's retreat with a cold smile. "Steward Zhang, where do you think you're going?" Zhang Quan stammered, You were prepared?" Han Bao said coldly, "Zhang Quan, right? Young Master Chu Xiu asked me to pass you a message, Steward Zhang. Have a safe journey to the afterlife." The image of Chu Xiu with his cold eyes appeared in Zhang Quan's mind. He began to feel regret, but it was already too late. "No!" His desperate scream rang out as Han Bao's sharp blade swung down. One decisive strike ended the traitor's life on the spot. Han Bao looked at the corpse at his feet and ordered his men to check the cargo. He was curious about how valuable the gift Chu Xiu had given him was. Bad news flew back to the Chu family that very night. The caravan has been robbed. All branches please report to the council hall immediately to discuss matters. Chu Xiu and second concubine walked while discussing. Mother, do you think this matter has anything to do with Chu Xiu? Steward Zhang and the others just offended Chu Xiu, and then something happened. I don't know, logically speaking, Chu Xiu shouldn't have the guts. Besides, he doesn't have the ability to hire the Shangmeng mountain bandits. Second concubine still maintained a calm expression. She told her son not to speak nonsense without evidence, lest it displease the family head. The mother and son stepped into the main hall, where the atmosphere was extremely tense due to the family's heavy losses. Chu Zongguang sat above with a gloomy face, listening to the report that the entire caravan had been wiped out without leaving a single survivor, and no one knew the reason. He sternly instructed the subordinates, since that's the case, dismissed. Remember this lesson, be more careful next time, I'm going back into seclusion. Hearing this, Chu Xiu stepped forward and proposed, Father, right now the caravan has no leader. I am willing to lead the caravan through Shangmeng Mountain once again. His proposal caused everyone present in the hall to widen their eyes in shock. Even his father Chu Zongguang could not believe his ears. He said, Caravan transport has always been the most dangerous. Family disciples have never led the team before. What kind of trouble are you adding? You have no experience at all. Do you want to die? Chu Xiu remained extremely calm as he explained, Right now, the caravan is in a state of panic. If there isn't someone of sufficient weight to lead, it will be difficult to set off, especially the pharmacy goods. They cannot be delayed. As a direct descendant of the Chu family, I should lead the charge and boost morale. I ask Father for permission. Seeing his son's determined expression, Chu Zongguang began to ponder. I didn't expect Chu Xiu's awareness to be this high. However, the caravan indeed cannot be delayed. In the end, he nodded in agreement and told Chu Xiu to be extremely careful on this dangerous trip. Chu Xiu stood beside them and looked at his brother with disdain, thinking that Chu Xiu must have something wrong with his brain to rush toward death like this. Outside, the servants and maids were still whispering about the bloody robbery that had just happened. They were visibly worried because the goods were lost and people had died, making the atmosphere in the residence extremely gloomy. Chu Xiu stepped into the courtyard and loudly ordered everyone to pack their luggage and prepare to depart for the Yan Kingdom. The servants began complaining. Second young master, we just had an incident. We should rest for a period of time no matter what. Yeah, let's think of a countermeasure before leaving. What if we enter the mountain and get robbed by bandits again? Chu Xiu thought to himself, that cheap old dad really doesn't care about the Chu family's affairs. Look at how spoiled these servants have become, and he doesn't even manage them. Chu Xiu shouted directly at the servants demanding rest. Rest for a while? Think of a countermeasure? It's simply a joke. The ones who died weren't you. You didn't even suffer a scratch. What are you resting for? The servants could only lower their heads in silence, not daring to utter a single word in the face of the second young master's anger. Chu Xiu continued lecturing them. He stated that in the Chu family, the caravan received the best, 10 times that of ordinary labor. If they were afraid of death and unwilling to go, there were plenty of people outside willing to replace them. He turned to call Gao Bei. Chu Xiu ordered Gao Bei, Go, tell the general laborers, those who dare to risk their lives, come to the caravan. Monthly pay is at least 10 taels. If they return smoothly, 0.5% of the profit will be the reward. As for these people, go find Steward Lu for reassignment. The old servants turned pale with fear and hurriedly begged the second young master for another chance. But Chu Xiu coldly turned his back. He declared that opportunities only came once. Those who wanted to stay should follow him. The caravan quietly moved into the narrow forest trail. Just as expected, a group of bandits appeared blocking the road. The leader was Feng Yidao, a subordinate of Han Bao. He carried a large saber and arrogantly demanded to kill and rob them. The servants regretted it too late. They lamented that they had just escaped death only to fall into this situation again, not knowing whether they could survive this time. In contrast to the terrified subordinates, Chu Xiu curled his lips into a mysterious smile. At last, the play had truly begun. Chu Xiu ordered Gao Bei to take out the kerosene, preparing for a desperate gamble. He stepped forward in front of the caravan and declared bluntly, "Everyone, I will not let myself be slaughtered. If you dare to use force, I will burn the goods and fight to the death. Don't dream of getting anything." The servants were stunned. They did not expect the second young master to make such a bold move. But they were still worried. What if the bandits became enraged and killed everyone? Feng Dao sneered, "You're still a bit too tender to play this game with your grandpa. Do you believe that I would rather kill you all than have these things?" But Chu Xiu suddenly proposed, "Why go through all this trouble? How about this? You compete with me in a duel. If I lose, I am at your disposal. If I win, let us leave. How about it?" Feng Dao went furious after being challenged by a boy who couldn't even tie a chicken. He immediately agreed, intending to send the second young master to the afterlife. One servant broke into a cold sweat. He remembered that in the Chu family only the eldest young master had reached the blood condensation realm. Could the second young master really accomplish anything? Without making his opponent wait, Chu Xiu took the initiative to attack first with an extremely fast move to seize the advantage. Feng Yidao swung his extremely heavy saber to block. He had to admit that this move from his opponent was not bad at all. The two rushed toward each other. Chu Xiu moved extremely flexibly, dodging the thunderous saber strikes from the burly man. The battle became extremely intense. Flashes of blades and sword shadows repeatedly burst out in the dark forest night. The servants watching from the outside were dumbfounded. They did not expect the second young master to be this skilled. He had been hiding his abilities all along. Chu Xiu unleashed a decisive strike. The sudden burst of power forced Feng Yidao backward in shock. The massive saber stabbed into the ground. Feng Yidao stood stunned at the true strength of the young man. The bandit admitted defeat, acknowledging that he had underestimated his opponent and agreeing to let the caravan pass. Chu Xiu sheathed his sword and modestly responded that the other party had gone easy on him. The servants were overjoyed as if they had struck gold. They laughed happily after miraculously escaping death. Just as the bandit was about to leave, Chu Xiu suddenly called him back, causing him to frown and ask what the second young master wanted now. Chu Xiu made a surprising proposal. "I don't know how many more bandits lie ahead, therefore, I would like to offer 1,000 taels to hire you, hero, to escort us through the mountain." Feng Yidao burst out laughing. "You kid, that's a pretty good idea. Interesting, I agree." The servants sitting on the carts began whispering, "This actually seems pretty good. Why didn't we think of this before?" Exactly, if we took the main road, not only would it take an extra month, but the costs would also be much higher than this. This move by the second young master is brilliant. News of Chu Xiu's resounding success quickly spread all the way back to the Chu family's residence. In the hall, Steward Chen reported to the family head, "Just like that, the second young master made a round trip from the Yan Kingdom in 10 days. Chu Zongguang pondered, his voice slightly worried. This kid is too adventurous. What if the bandits didn't respond to soft or hard tactics? Also, what if that group of bandits didn't have the strength to escort them? Old Chen also had to admit that the second young master's luck was extremely good. Because of this incident, a new rule was established. Bandits could be hired as escorts to pass through the mountains safely. Old Chen continued, "Actually, all 4 young masters are very good. If the family master is willing to give up researching that thing and teach them, my Chu family can definitely stand shoulder to shoulder with the Shen family." But Chu Zongguang dismissed it. "Old Chen, do not speak nonsense. You know exactly how much of a price I paid for it. I will absolutely not give up." The atmosphere in the hall became silent when the secret Chu Zongguang had been pursuing all this time was mentioned. Back at the training yard, Chu Xiu was crazily practicing his saber techniques day and night, preparing for the plans that lay ahead. Gao Bei brought food over, feeling somewhat surprised inside. After the second young master returned from the Yan Kingdom, he practiced the blade desperately, forgetting to eat and sleep. He wasn't this kind of person before, was he? Chu Xiu said to himself. In the original plot, after Chu Xiu experiences the family incident, he leaves Tongzhou Prefecture and enters the Jianghu, his temperament changing drastically. But I don't know what the family incident is. Before that, I must first step into the blood condensation realm and possess the power to protect myself. Outside the gate, a pair of eyes quietly watched through the crack of the door. From outside, Chu Xiu stood observing with jealous eyes. He saw his elder brother's status rising like a kite in the wind, something that directly threatened his own power. While he was busy scheming, his mother suddenly appeared from behind, startling him slightly. Chu Xiu angrily told his mother that they could not let the caravan remain in Chu Xiu's hands forever. She also agreed but clearly knew that the family head would not easily hand it over to her son right now. Chu Xiu came up with an idea. I know father won't give it to me, but what if fourth brother wants it? Will he give it to fourth brother? His mother also agreed when she heard this. That's right, the one the master spoils most nowadays is Chu Xiu. That is actually quite possible. I will go try. At the residence of the third concubine, a new conspiracy began to take shape, aimed directly at the second young master Chu Xiu. Third concubine wore a luxurious purple outfit and smiled in greeting. Sister came to my place today, why didn't you say something in advance? The young man beside her also bowed respectfully. Greetings, second concubine. Second concubine wondered, just chatting, why would I need to announce it in advance? By the way, Shangha's shops are all doing pretty well, right? Well, Shangha's shops don't have much silver, but Shangha didn't plan to fight for the inheritance anyway, so this little money is just right. Sister has misunderstood. I know Shangha doesn't want to fight for the position of family master, but it's still better to have some business with large returns. Third concubine looked somewhat surprised after hearing this. They continued discussing the division of family assets. The woman mentioned that the profits from Chu Xiu's caravan had now more than doubled, a piece of fat meat that everyone coveted. The servant beside third concubine heard the news about that enormous profit figure, and his eyes lit up, his mouth hanging open in shock. The next morning in the main hall, Chu Zongguang summoned Chu Xiu and instructed him, Chu Xiu, your caravan has developed well during this period. Even if you cannot become the heir, you will definitely be a pillar of the Chu family, so between you brothers, you must be harmonious and help each other. Chu Xiu respectfully replied, what father says is correct. Hearing his father say that the two brothers must live harmoniously and help each other, Chu Xiu could only laugh secretly in his heart. He understood too well that the so-called harmony in this family meant being ready to stab each other in the back at any moment. Chu Zongguang got straight to the point. It is good that you can think this way. I want to give Chu Shang some experience, so I prepared to swap your caravan with the shops under Chu Shang's name. Do you agree? He hesitated and replied, this. Chu Xiu narrowed his eyes mockingly. He thought to himself, sure, when the caravan was dangerous, Chu Shang didn't go. Now that I've opened up the trade route, only now are you preparing to let Chu Shang go? This greedy eating appearance is a bit too ugly. Chu Xiu calmly agreed, which made Chu Zongguang very satisfied. To compensate him, he promised to give Chu Xiu another weapon shop to manage. Not stopping there, Chu Zongguang even showed obvious favoritism by assigning Lin Xian, one of the strongest experts of the Chu family, to accompany and protect Chu Shang on the upcoming journey. Chu Xiu looked at his father's blatant favoritism with a cold feeling in his heart. He thought to himself, Lin Xian, one of the two strongest guest elders of the Chu family, blood condensation realm, this bias is too obvious. We are both sons, I'll just say be careful, this gap isn't just a tiny bit. Chu Shang happily thanked his second brother for yielding. Chu Xiu also played along, pretending to remind his younger brother that the roads were distant and dangerous, and that he must be extremely careful. Chu Xiu's eyes suddenly flashed with danger. He thought to himself, you brought this upon yourself. What I hate most is someone daring to touch what belongs to me. At the caravan training yard, the atmosphere began to change greatly as the management authority officially transferred into the hands of the fourth young master Chu Shang. A servant asked, Brother Lu, I heard that our caravan will be under the fourth young master's management from now on. What do you think? Steward Lu sighed and replied, Don't ask what shouldn't be asked. The second young master is good to us. But can we go against the fourth young master? Chu Shang swaggered in with his subordinates, looking like a powerful and arrogant new boss. Is everyone from the caravan here? Steward Lu respectfully replied, answering fourth young master, everyone is here. Chu Shang immediately ordered everyone to pack their luggage, demanding that all of them prepare to depart tomorrow morning without giving anyone time to rest. Steward Lu hurriedly protested, fourth young master, we only came back yesterday. According to the rules, we rest for 3 days before leaving again. But Chu Xiu waved it off. Resting every time delays things too much. We could have made another trip to the End Kingdom. Listen to my orders, depart tomorrow. The steward tried to explain the dangers of the mountain route, but Chu Xiu shouted loudly, declaring that the caravan was now under his control. He even demanded to replace all the old members with his own people. The old members could only look at each other miserably, silently complaining that this fourth young master's way of doing things was too domineering, and no one knew where this trip would lead. The next morning, while Chu Xiu was preparing to depart, he saw Chu Xiu moving his belongings outside. Curious, he asked where his second brother planned to go, and Chu Xiu casually replied that he was moving to stay at an inn for comfort. Chu Xiu even pretended to ask for advice about leading the caravan. Chu Xiu repeated his warning about bandits along the road, though in his heart he already had his own plans prepared for his younger brother. Chu Xiu sneered and rode away. He was confident that with the great expert Lin Xian beside him, a few bandits were nothing worth worrying about. Chu Xiu watched the caravan disappear into the distance, then turned to instruct his subordinate that later they would take a trip to Shangmeng Mountain. That night at the bandit camp on Shangmeng Mountain, Han Bao laughed happily while welcoming the special guest. Kid Chu Xiu, your idea was not bad. Now North Shangmeng Mountain is entirely my territory, and the profits have increased tenfold. Today let's have a good drink. We won't stop until we're drunk. Chu Xiu refused the invitation to drink, saying he had come to ask Boss Han for a small favor. Han Bao asked curiously, "Oh, who do you want to rob and kill?" Chu Xiu coldly spat out 4 words, "My fourth brother, Chu Xiu." Han Bao stared in shock at Chu Xiu's request. He thought in horror, this Chu Xiu's way of doing things is really quite wicked. Twice he has robbed and killed people from his own family, and this time it's even his own biological brother. After pondering for a moment, Han Bao finally said, "All right, just like last time, kill the leader and leave the rest?" Chu Xiu began outlining the plan. Kill all the leaders. This time there is also a blood condensation realm martial artist, so Boss Han will need to take action personally. Of course, my fourth brother cannot be killed. After all, he is my biological brother. Han Bao thought to himself, he's your biological brother, yet you still want me to rob and kill him. But Chu Xiu curled his lips. However, he makes me, his older brother, very unhappy, so just cripple him. Even Han Bao broke into a cold sweat after hearing that. He thought that for martial artists, being crippled was indeed more painful and humiliating than being killed. Chu Xiu added another reminder, "Boss Han, my fourth brother is my father's most beloved son. If he dies, this North Shangmeng Mountain will never have a day of peace." Han Bao sneered, "Kid Chu Xiu, I'm not slandering your Chu family, but with your father's meager strength, it's simply not enough to look at. Once my injuries heal, I would even dare to fight against Shen Bai, the family head of the Shen family in Tongzhou Prefecture." Next, Chu Xiu made another proposal. "Boss Han's injuries haven't fully healed yet. I think it's better not to cause trouble. Additionally, I would like to invite Brother Ma and his subordinates to come to Tongzhou Prefecture to help me. Rest assured, the silver will definitely not be little." He thought to himself, "Currently, I have no one available under my command. Gao Bei is loyal, but too cowardly. Manhwa is meticulous despite his rough exterior. He'll definitely be a great helper." Han Bao asked, "Aren't you afraid of others finding out that you're colluding with bandits?" Chu Xiu replied calmly, "It doesn't matter. Brother Ma has only made a move in South Shangmeng Mountain a few times. People in Tongzhou Prefecture have never seen him. I will recruit them gradually, which won't arouse suspicion." Han Bao then turned to ask his subordinate if he agreed. Ma Kuo immediately agreed enthusiastically. He said staying in the camp all the time was boring and this was a good opportunity to go out and stretch his legs a bit. Han Bao asked the most important question about the timing of the attack. Chu Xiu answered firmly that they would wait until Chu Xiang's caravan was on its way back before taking action. After the agreement was settled, Han Bao ordered a grand feast prepared and declared that today they would not stop drinking until everyone was drunk to celebrate the new job. The next day, Chu Xiu and his subordinates set off back to the residence, quietly preparing for the next steps in his plan to bring down his younger brother. On the road, they suddenly encountered Feng Yidao returning to the bandit camp. He looked at his colleague and asked curiously, "Manhwa, what are you dressed up like that for?" Manhwa pointed toward the person beside him and said, "Young Master Chu needs people on his end and hired us to go over and help. Has your side not opened for business yet?" Feng Yidao laughed and replied, "According to young Master Chu's intelligence, a Luo family merchant caravan will be returning from the state of Yin. As a result, we arrived too early." Chu Xiu stepped forward and asked, "Chief Feng, is the Luo family you mentioned the small Luo family from Shuangfeng town?" Feng Yidao nodded in confirmation. "Yes, it's that small family. The intelligence was all given to you by young Master Chu. Don't you know it yourself?" Chu Xiu smiled and explained, "The intelligence was collected by my subordinates. I didn't check them one by one. Chief Feng, I have a matter I'd like to ask your help with." Feng Yidao responded readily, "Young Master Chu, please go ahead." Chu Xiu instructed, "The Luo family has some items that have caught my eye. Please help me seize them. Chief Feng, of course, don't break the rules too much, be a bit tactful." The fat man left while patting his chest, assuring that everything could be left to him. In his heart, Chu Xiu recalled the original plot. In the original plot, this Luo family collected a batch of secret boxes from merchants of the state of Yin. Who would have thought that two good items would actually be opened from these secret boxes? As a result, the news accidentally leaked, causing the Luo family to be annihilated by the joint forces of several surrounding families. Chu Xiu said to himself, "I guess this can be considered doing a good deed. After all, without the treasures, this Luo family won't end up exterminated." At this moment, the Luo family's caravan was hurrying through the forest. The steward kept urging everyone to move faster so they could leave Shangmeng Mountain and enter Tongzhou Prefecture to rest safely. Suddenly, Feng Yidao and the bandits rushed out to block the road with a thunderous shout, "Halt!" The Luo family members cried out in despair, "It's over, bandits!" The Luo family's caravan steward stepped forward trembling. Trying to resolve the matter peacefully with money, he offered a large pouch of silver, begging the heroes of Shangmeng Mountain to accept 10% road toll for wine and spare their poor caravan. However, Feng Yidao was not so easy to satisfy. He knocked the money pouch away and shouted, "You think 10% is enough to dismiss us? You made your grandfather here wait with his men all morning. Leave all the goods behind." Faced with the ferocity of the bandit, the steward could only stammer, "Hero." The fat man glared and asked back, "What? Do you have an opinion?" The pressure from such a notorious figure made the steward too afraid to say another word. Realizing they could not resist, the Luo family members abandoned the goods and carts and fled for their lives. "No, no, we will leave right away. Life is still the most important thing. Money can always be earned again." Feng Yidao laughed happily at the pile of spoils, then generously told Chu Xiu that anything catching his eye could be taken without hesitation. Chu Xiu and Manhwa approached the goods. He pointed at several old wooden boxes and said he only needed those secret boxes, while all the remaining goods belonged to Feng Yidao and the bandit brothers. Chu Xiu looked at the boxes with eager eyes. He wondered whether his luck this time would be good enough to open the powerful items he remembered from his memory. After the successful job, Chu Xiu returned to his residence. Sitting at the table with the pile of secret boxes he had obtained, Chu Xiu could not hide his joy as he pulled out a valuable manual. "Not bad, to think I actually drew the Blood Blade Sutra. I remember that this cultivation technique was rated as third transformation in the original world. It's not considered high, but it's definitely not low either." He began flipping through it, and was amazed by its brutality. What a wicked and ruthless blade technique. The angles of the blade strikes are incredibly bizarre, making it impossible to defend against. Almost every move is a killing move, an incredibly extreme demonic Dao cultivation technique, but it happens to suit my taste. Next, he held a delicate metal tube called Thousand Leaf Plume, a hidden weapon crafted by the Thousand Mechanism sect, a hidden weapon sect second only to the Tang sect of Shu during the ancient Great Tribulation, theoretically, a one-time use hidden weapon capable of killing a Xiantian martial artist. Chu Xiu stood up, still gripping the manual tightly with determined eyes. "A good harvest. I'll practice the Blood Blade Sutra first." 10 days later, at North Shangmeng Mountain, a caravan of horse-drawn wagons was slowly entering the deep valley. Chu Xiu revealed a smug smile as he thought about his profitable move. He had successfully persuaded his father to exchange Chu Xiu's caravan for him to manage. However, his joy did not last long before the road ahead was suddenly blocked by a group of ferocious bandits. A big, fat man carrying a broadsword coughed a few times in a provocative manner. A servant in the caravan stepped forward trembling and offered silver, hoping Chief Feng would open the road and let them pass. But when the bandit looked at the pouch containing only 400 taels, he showed a disdainful expression and ordered his men to begin searching. Seeing the bandits pressing forward, the servant angrily shouted, "Chief Feng, our Chu family knows the rules. This toll fee will absolutely not be short." The bandit leader sneered, "You don't get to dictate the rules, not letting me search. Could there be something fishy going on?" "You," Chu Xiu gritted his teeth, about to explode in anger. But the servant beside him hurriedly stopped him. "Fourth young master, don't be impulsive. This is Shangmeng Mountain. Just let them search. We haven't played any tricks anyway." Though unwilling, Chu Xiu still had to compromise and resentfully ordered that the bandits be allowed to search the goods. Immediately, the bandits rushed toward the cargo crates on the wagons and began rummaging through them roughly. After examining them, the leader laughed slyly and claimed that this batch of goods was worth at least 6,000 taels, meaning the toll fee should be 600 taels rather than 400. Chu Xiu's face turned purple with anger as he shouted directly at the bandit, "You are clearly finding fault on purpose. What do a bunch of bandits know about prices? If you can sell it for 6,000 taels, all these goods are yours." The servant saw this and panicked inside. "Oh no, fourth young master is too reckless. We could just spend an extra 200 taels of silver to buy peace. Why bother clashing with them?" The bandit became furious after being looked down upon and shouted angrily at Chu Xiu, "You little brat, you're courting death. Does your grandfather need you to teach him how to do things? Oh, very well then, today, the goods stay, and the people must stay too." Without arguing further, Chu Xiu coldly signaled to Lin Xian behind him, entrusting the matter of dealing with these bandits to him. Lin Xian stepped forward. He clasped his hands, but his attitude was extremely firm. "Making things convenient for others makes things convenient for oneself. I advise everyone to let us pass, otherwise blades and swords have no eyes, and there won't be a chance to regret it." Chu Xiu stood behind him and sneered, "Did you see that? This is what Uncle Lin calls having the demeanor of an expert. Why should our Chu family bow and scrape to bandits? If they don't follow the rules, we can't be cowards either. Second brother paid silver even after winning, truly a coward." In contrast to the young master's confidence, the other servants were trembling with fear. "This is the territory of Shangmeng Mountain bandits. Even if we can return safely this time with Lin Xian, what about next time? It's not like Lin Xian is invincible in the world. Fourth young master is too arrogant, isn't he? To actually say second young master is a coward, obviously. Second young master using both grace and might is much wiser." Lin Xian still maintained a calm expression, his sharp eyes carefully observing the bandit in front of him. "Well said," a bandit roared, then slowly walked forward with surging killing intent. "Blades and swords inherently have no eyes. If you die here today, don't blame me for being ruthless."